J.J. McCarthy of Minnesota after the first scripted drive of the game. Folks, you can't convince me it works. It doesn't. His first drive this year, first drives, he completes 78% of his throws. After that, 51. Again, he's great when the driver's ed teacher is in the right seat. Eventually, the teacher leaves the car and you got to drive. So Justin Jefferson's 3 worst games, the 3 J.J. McCarthy starts. So, and I mean, the other thing that was troubling, 8 false starts for a home game. False starts. That's the boiling the water part of culinary school. Have you turned the stove on? You can't have 8 false starts in a season. That was the most in 25 years for a home team. So Josh Dobbs, remember Josh Dobbs? He came to Kevin O'Connell. You remember that game? No practices. So Josh Dobbs, backup, career backup. No practices. Engineered 31 points of offense. 102 passer rating. J.J. McCarthy off script. Passer rating's 57. The hardest thing in the NFL, in my opinion, beyond just winning, is acknowledging for GMs and coaches, we made a mistake on that first round pick.
Okay. He's had... Guys. He's barely played. Go back and watch all these other quarterbacks in the beginning of their careers, okay? Caleb, Bo Nick, like we could just use the most recent ones. A lot of struggles. And guess what? All of these quarterbacks look better on the scripted drives. That's why they're scripted. So you better. And now you're adding in that JJ not only missed all of last year, and now missed a chunk of this year, and so hasn't been able to practice, hasn't been able to be brought up to game speed, you're going to struggle. You're going to downright fail at times. And that's what J.J. McCarthy is doing right now, without a shadow of a doubt. But you have to allow him to struggle. But the problem is, and this is what we talked about all summer, was that this Vikings team won a lot of games. And that was always the problem. That you're bringing in a quarterback who is all but guaranteed to struggle. All but guaranteed to have a up and down season. Because that's what happens with young quarterbacks. No matter how great your team is. Especially when you're as young as J.J. McCarthy. People want to point to some of these other quarterbacks like a Brock Purdy or they'd been playing for years. They played more. They had more snaps. They'd been around longer. And that's not J.J. McCarthy's situation. And so that's why it was always a risk of moving on from Sam Darnold. Always, always, always. An experienced vet is an experienced vet. And there was this idea that like Kevin O'Connell can win with anyone. And they start naming all these backup quarterbacks. And I went down and said, those quarterbacks had moments, but let's actually look at the stats. Let's actually look at the win-loss record. Let's actually look at the points per game, and it was not good. You had a couple nice, fun, exciting, heartfelt moments, and then there was plenty of like, oh, this is awful. Or there's the idea of like, he made Kirk Cousins work. Kirk Cousins always worked. He played for bad teams and bad coaching staffs. If Kirk Cousins was actually in his prime and was in his like 20s and actually found, a coach who can coach, a Sean McVay, etc., he'd have a ton of success. A ton of success. He played for a failing organization that had to change their name like 5 times. The Washington football team. They were literally called the Washington football team for a stretch. Do you understand how insane that is? And Sam Darnold now was not just made and invented by Kevin O'Connell. He benefited from Kevin O'Connell, no doubt. Kevin O'Connell is an awesome coach and deserves a ton of credit. But like Sam Darnold's balling and has continued to ball. And that was always going to be a massive, massive risk because your team knows what they're capable of doing. Justin Jefferson knows what this team is capable of doing. And so when you bring in a young quarterback, you're all but guaranteed to take a back step, for the offense to look bad at times and look disconnected. That is what we've seen out of Bo Nix, out of Caleb Williams, out of Jaden Daniels, out of Michael Penix, like out of every Drake May. How brilliant was Drake May last year? Even a couple games this year, Drake May didn't look so great. And again, the argument is always, well, someone like a Drake May or Caleb last year, they didn't have a good coach, they didn't have a good team, etc., etc. This Vikings team has everything great. And it's true. There's a lot of truth to that, although not necessarily with the O-line, which is why I keep showing. I broke down the clip where Orlovsky, and this is what I'd said. I'd said this, and then I saw the Orlovsky clip the next day, where it was just like, I don't know what quarterback you put in here that you just magically succeed. Would a Sam Darnold look better? Would a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, etc., would they look better? Of course. Because could they handle some of this stuff at a higher level? Absolutely. But that's been a problem with this Vikings team right now, as well as the individual quarterback play, like the interceptions. Like some of those throws, you're just like, what are you doing? The good news is that J.J. McCarthy is really smart. And so I imagine he's going to improve. What's this? A young quarterback improve? What's this? A young quarterback isn't supposed to show his greatness in the first 3 games of a season? Like, whoa, no way. I thought he was supposed to be fully baked right now. Come on. No. It's not how this works. That's not how this works. So too early to call JJ a bust? Yes. It is absolutely positively too early. Because after one game, you said he's like Baker Mayfield, and you were praising him. And now you're saying, oh, he's a bust. In the beginning of this season, he said it's not going to work with Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson likes Tyson Bagent more. Okay? And now we're out here saying JJ McCarthy is a bust. We got to stop with the extremes. Colin before said that Jordan Love's not going to work. I have more footage of Bigfoot than Jordan Love. That's what he kept saying. Jordan Love's not it. Jordan Love's not it. Then Jordan Love got hot, and he said Jordan Love will be as great as Patrick Mahomes. I did the clips. I mean, I got the videos. There's probably a title that says Jordan Love is like Patrick Mahomes or something. I probably got a video, something along those lines. And now he's like, I don't know how good Jordan Love is. He said last year and this summer, Jaden Daniels is one of the best quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback in the NFC. Now he's saying he's not even a top 3 quarterback in his own draft class. We have to stop taking such extremes. And that whole rant about that, that's not me calling out Colin. I love that Colin is willing to change his mind. I appreciate that. I respect that. And one of the earliest times I've ever watched Colin was when he talked about, like, you have to be able to change your mind. And I was just like, oh, I love this show. Who's it? This is Colin Cowherd. I was like, I think I remember him from, wasn't he on the radio? Blah, blah. And I was just like, I love that. I love that logic. I love that line of thing because I change my mind all the time. I talk about that all the time. I change my mind in the middle of a sentence. There's times that I have a take in my mind and then I'm watching a clip and I listen to Orlovsky or Colin or whoever talking. I go, huh, you know what? I was prepared to say this and I don't feel that way right now. I changed my mind. I can read a comment where I'm just like, I think this was a really bad draft. And then someone responds, oh, this. And I'm just like, actually, you know what? Never mind. I didn't look at it like that way. This was a great draft for the whoever's. So changing your mind is totally okay. But it's got to be calculated. It's got to be slow. It can't just be, I see someone do something great, that person's great. I see someone do something bad, they're bad. It's whiplash. It's too jarring. And so, yeah, it's okay to be disappointed in what you're seeing out of J.J. McCarthy. It's also okay to explain, hey, this is going to be a tough year for him. This was always going to be a season of growth. And this is why I pushed back week after week and nearly every single video. Stop telling me that J.J. McCarthy got to sit for a full year, because he did not. This was not Patrick Mahomes sitting for a year. And then Vikings fans yelled at me. They were like, he met with Kevin O'Connell once an hour a week. And I was like, that's nothing. What are you talking about? They're like, imagine thinking about meeting with Kevin O'Connell throughout the course of this season for an hour does nothing. It does nothing. It does nothing. Because that's why I said Kevin O'Connell had to put all his focus on Sam Darnold last season. And rightfully so. There was no development. There was no practice for JJ. None. Zero. And then even his injury had some issues that then kind of got delayed a little bit. So he wasn't even able to really be on the field and working out and training in the way that he would want to. So this year was always a little bit stacked against him. Always. This is his true rookie year. It's messy, and it's up against the season where the Vikings were a game away from having the number 1 seed, where Sam Darnold played out of his mind, a quarterback that people did not think was great. So they were like, oh my gosh, any quarterback can do this. Any quarterback can be great with Kevin O'Connell and this Vikings team. And that's just not entirely true. And so, yeah, you had all the penalties. You had all the false starts. The penalties were through the roof. Some bad decision-making. It was a bad game. It was a bad game. That happens. That happens. Bo Nix. Now, listen, to be fair, Colin's already benching Bo Nix right now. But he said Bo Nix was the top quarterback. And in the beginning, his first 4 or so games were awful. Were really, really bad. And then he got great. But now, people are like, see, Bo Nix is not that good. So, I don't know. It's a tough one. I just encourage patience. There's this obsession with this idea that quarterbacks are already baked right now because of all the snaps they get in middle school and high school and college and all the practices and the coaching and the level of coaching. And I get that. Things still take time in the NFL. It's not the NFL. When you're 14 years old, that's not the NFL. When you're in college, it's not the NFL. It's different. Things take time. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about J.J. McCarthy and the Minnesota Vikings? Too early to call J.J. a bust. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.